Well, look who made it back. Yo, thank you for supporting the channel. We got a bunch of episodes filled with info on how we host, funny guest story with your boy Tay, current news with Shellie, and special guest appearances. Also feature some local music artists for the outro, so make sure you stick around to the end, my friend, and peep all the links in the description. Dropping gems. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Right.
Yo.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, y'all. We're going to just jump right into this. So I got a message from Airbnb yesterday. And
You got a message from Airbnb?
yeah, they sent me an email.
They didn't send me the email. Anyways, continue.
Listen, because I asked for permission, Airbnb and I have a special relationship.
Oh, VIP Shellie over here.
We have a special relationship.
On the guest list.
And so they wanted to bring to our attention vacation rental legislation that is currently considered by the Florida legislature that might impact us as hosts.
Woo!
The proposed bills are Senate Bill 280 and House Bill 1537, which is the companion bill. They would change the regulatory framework for short-term rentals in the state of Florida. State licensing requirement, local registration, which our counties already have. Okay, Santa Rosa and Escambia already have that. Enforcement on nuisance. But the big challenge changes are host data sharing. This will be a law now. And tax collection would be a law in the state of Florida. So the House is planning to vote on this bill as early as next week. Yes.
That's
this
pretty
might
quick.
need
It's
to
pretty
be
soon.
A special drop, but yes, as early as next week. The House anyway is planning on voting on it, and they also have a link to a page which we'll put in our description box if you want to find out who your representative is for your area and reach out to them and let them know where you stand on it. But we're going to just talk about it real quickly. For those of you that don't want to read the over 30 pages.
They got an audio book. Might be able to hit that on my morning commute for the week. 30 pages.
When you have insomnia, go ahead. Go ahead and play it.
Bless your heart, man. So that's it sounds like the feds are going to be more involved in this space with regulating it ultimately.
Not necessarily the feds. This is the state.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah. So the state is just going to be more involved with all the regulation, because I guess before the counties were pretty much more in charge of how they're going to collect and enforce rules. So
correct.
This must be a big issue. People have been complaining. What's going on?
I think it's a money issue. I think as people are seeing, or not necessarily people, but as legislators are seeing the income streams that people are making, they want to make sure they get their cut.
So they've been seeing people ball out on YouTube. They've been seeing the YouTube balling out, the Instagram balling out, and been like, how much money are we getting from this dude? He's been buying a whole lot of Lambos and doors.
Well, I honestly think...
Yeah.
Well, I honestly think the thing is that, as we've talked about before, Florida as a whole is big on tourism. That is huge revenue for the state.
The majority of their revenue.
Absolutely. And now Airbnb, and you know this too, they have an agreement with the state. They collect the taxes for us, which I love.
Yeah.
And it's less I have to do, right? And they send it to the state. But this is what they don't do currently. What they do not do is they don't say this share was from Tay's place at this address. This share was from Shelley's place at this address. This place is from Anthony's place. Right. They don't do that.
There's no explicit, this is where this revenue is coming
Just one big
from.
pot.
The state hates.
The state was actually fine with it.
Oh, really?
The counties had a problem with it. Escambia and Santa Rosa specifically. Yes. There are a lot of counties in the state of Florida is like, as long as I get my money,
Right.
I'm good. So initially Airbnb was collecting the county tax as well for Escambia and Santa Rosa. But as this revenue grew, they were kind of like, well, we don't know who's paying and who's not. We don't know where it's coming from. So they actually went to Airbnb, I'm gonna give you a Cliff Notes version, and said, hey, give us a list of names or addresses so we know who's doing these short-term rentals.
Because you can't enforce what you don't know.
Oh my God. Just say no, ladies and gentlemen. Just say no. But anyway, so Escambia started it, and Escambia was getting their money, and they were happy. And then they kind of was like, give us the names, and they were like, Airbnb said, no, that violates our privacy policy. We have a privacy policy, and so we won't disclose that. But here's your check. Escambia refused the check that year and said no. So Airbnb had to come out and say, hey, just so you know, for this county, we're not going to collect it anymore, and you guys have to pay it yourself. Which I'm going to tell you how I feel that it impacts us in a minute. Then Santa Rosa jumps on the bandwagon because Escambia did it like the little sister it is and says, I want to do what she's doing. So they started doing the same daggone thing. Well, that meant now we all have to pay that separate. So to me, how it looks for a guest is, if I have a problem with your $400 a night rate, right? Because I have a 4-bedroom house. So if you compare that to 4 hotel rooms, that's a steal. But, and you don't even have a kitchen or any of that kind of stuff, right? So, but they'll sit there and say, that's $400 a night plus taxes. When in reality, it's not. Because I still have to pay Santa Rosa's, the tourist taxes. I don't pay the state of Florida, and they don't know that. So one of those suggestions I sent into Airbnb personally was, hey, where you got all these cleaning fees and this, that, and the third, give us a column for tourist tax so that so one, I can do that separate and people don't just think I'm not justifying my price. Because if I go to a hotel and, the room online said it was, $200 a night. And then when I get it, it's like, okay, here's your tax, here's your tourist tax, here's this, here's that. And so now that $200 has turned into $250, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that
That
option.
little breakdown.
We have to suck all that in, and they're already mad about the cleaning fees. So they feel like people are nickeling and diming them, not realizing that we are required to pay that and we're not the one who's staying there. So really, you're paying that separate tax with the hotel. Why wouldn't you pay it with us? Well, for one, they don't know that because I see taxes and they're not realizing that the state tax is separate, But when you get that bill from your hotel, it says tourist tax, it says sales tax, it says so they see that there are multiple. Because I'm that girl who's like, what the heck?
Why
How many
this?
times you gotta pay tax?
Yeah.
Right? So I have been that girl, and it's not just the state of Florida. Everybody does it, right? That's what they do. But in this space, we don't have it separated out. So they just assume I'm overcharging you for this place. And that's not true. So I'm kind of okay with that part, to be honest, because I'm paying the taxes that they would have been paying. Now, when it's out there, it'll be separated as well. If Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, any of these people are, doing that, the state of Florida is requiring any advertising platform to collect it, meaning they're taking the collection from us. Less work for me. I'm a happy girl.
Out of their wallet going straight to.
It's coming out of the person who's staying wallet,
Right.
and it's going straight to them. And then I get credit because that's where the host sharing part comes. Florida's saying you are now going to have to say what license number this is from, right? So because we are legal, right?
Yeah.
We have our license in our counties. We have our. I don't have a problem.
License numbers.
We have our license number. This is going to impact those who have not gone through the proper channels, because if you don't have a license number, there's not a license number.
We pay the tax, which means you are not legal.
Well, I'm not sure yet, because if Airbnb has to collect it, and this is saying that they have to collect it. So if they have to collect it, whether you have a license or not is going to be irrelevant. But when they send it with this address with no license number,
Well, that's what I mean.
that's when they're going to get
It's
you.
not immediate, but they'll come after you eventually.
They're going to come after you probably fairly quickly.
Always wants to cut.
Yeah, exactly. And they're getting the money. But what they're not getting is, how often do we have to renew our license?
Well, separately, I mean, because, yes, that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is that, renewing the license and the initial fees, I imagine you guys had to pay when you first got the license and so on and so forth.
Right. And how often do you have to renew your license? This is going to be interesting. Do you remember? No. Oh my gosh, it's
year?
probably expired. It's every 6 months.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even finna, I'm just not even gonna look over there.
I was saying it's either going to be less than a year or
I'm gonna pray Escambia is different, and I'm just not even gonna look over there. Okay?
You know what? Let me get back to you on that.
But yes, every 6 months, because I remember being like, "What the heck? I just did this." Yeah. So I feel like that is excessive, but
every few years, 2 or 3.
seriously, and this comes out of the Department of Licensing and blah blah blah. Well, that's where I got my real estate license, my insurance, your securities license. All those things come from this. Everybody's stuff is every few years. The
Yeah.
other thing that threw me was each property has to have a license.
Not just one person.
Yeah, it's
That's-
crazy, right? I remember when I was doing this, I was like, now that don't make no sense. When I got my real estate license, I could sell whatever. Why do I have to have a license for this particular property and then for this property? And only if you have apartment conduct, you have certain number that can be under one. But if
Yeah.
it's a separate single family home, yes, you have to have a separate license.
What's the logic, man?
Revenue is the logic.
Just because they can make us fill out more stuff to collect more or not?
Their fees. When you are in a tax-free state, they have to get revenue some kind of way. Florida does not have state taxes, but they will nickel and dime the mess out of you in every other way. Absolutely.
So,
Now, we talked about taxes.
Yeah.
but
our favorite.
income taxes last time. So the good news is, even with all these wonderful licensing fees and registration and blah, 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 blah. All of those things are tax deductible in your federal income tax. So that's the plus of it all. Yeah. Please govern yourselves for their church announcements.
Wow.
We'd like for you to hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm, especially for a new channel like us. And Donte's experienced a lot of rejection, so he needs some likes in his life.
Somebody like me, please.
Also, please subscribe. Hit the notification button so you'll know when something new drops. Our giveaways are specific to our subscribers, so please subscribe so you can participate.
And ask us some questions. Leave us some comments.
Don't forget to share, because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Woo. So, I mean, we're pretty much trading off our data for them to help do some more managing.
And I think that really, again, if you're legal, the impact on that will be somewhat minimal if you're only using OTAs. If you're doing because I'm seeing the look.
I'm like, yo, we got acronyms. What's up?
Outside travel agents.
Okay.
And that's what via.
I know I've heard the acronym before.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember.
Yeah,
There's a
Verbo.
sports acronym for OTA. So when you said that, I was like, hold on, what sport? What are we talking about?
Oh no, I don't even know what that is. So,
Broadcasting, which is over the years. But, yeah.
oh, okay, yeah.
We know so many acronyms. Oh my God, man.
So
Sports, cybersecurity,
outside travel
real estate.
agencies. So that's Verbo, that's Airbnb, that's Booking.com, that's HomeAway, all these ones that have come up. And even if you have your own direct booking site, that is the verbiage that is really peculiar. So I'm going to read this from the bill. So this is coming straight from the bill. We'll have a link in there. You guys can read it. Vacation rentals requiring advertising platforms. So wherever you advertise your Airbnb, they have to collect and remit specified taxes for certain vacation rental transactions.
To be clear, wherever you advertise your short-term rental, to make it clear that it's not specifically tied to Airbnb.
Correct.
Right.
It's all of them.
Right.
And that is the overarching thing. They've defined the term advertising platform to make sure that all of them,
Yeah.
including your own direct booking site, is included. Adding licensing to the regulated activities of public lodging establishments and public food service establishments, which are preempted to the state. So some counties require licenses, some didn't. So the state is now going to require that. Again, we're good unless the state says you have to have a separate license. Now, I'm hopeful that if it goes to the state as opposed to the counties, then perhaps we do only have to do it once every few years. I could be wrong. We're going to see how that works out.
Who we got to talk to? Who we got to talk to?
Either way, it's new revenue to the state, so hopefully the state chooses to not piss off everyone in the industry by making it.
We just got to complain.
So
We got to make a big complaint, and maybe we'll be able to negotiate some better terms.
And that's why I wanted to get this information out, because it's coming up real quick.
plus less frequency means less administration costs for them.
True.
So
True. Good point.
Yeah, so-
Excellent point. The other thing says it's requiring advertising platforms to require. So I'm going to make these platforms require persons placing advertisements or listings for vacation rentals include certain information in the advertisement or listing and attest to certain information, authorizing the division, the state, to revoke, refuse to issue or refuse to renew or even suspend vacation rental licenses under certain circumstances.
Dang.
So there were times when people were concerned about the platforms kicking you off. Now the state's saying for certain reasons, I'm going to refuse to give you a license. I'll revoke your license
If you're not complying.
if you don't do. And again, the certain circumstances are the ones that's in those 33 pages. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I'm less concerned about it impacting us in an adverse way, but it's kind of the heads up to anyone who is considering or even doing this space and you haven't done these things legally in these areas, because we are legally required to be licensed. And for other areas that are in Florida and that's not required right now, heads up, it might be coming. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're projecting your expenses for 2024. Oh, by the way, if this passes, key point, they want this to go into effect July 1st, in the middle of your summer season. So I want to make sure I put
my
July
God.
1st, 2024. So
They are not playing.
not playing. They're not saying next year. They're not saying we'll wait till it slows down. They want to get that summer fun, 4th of July revenue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That 4th of July revenue. That's what we're looking at.
pretty quick, man. That's pretty quick. I know the short-term rental space has been it's been like a hot topic for some years with like issues with people's success. I mean, there's a lot of people getting into it because it's been so profitable, but also it seems to be getting some pushback in certain areas. So it's like, how bad was this to get to this point to where they're moving so quickly with it? It just seems like they make a lot of decisions, and it's almost like, are they overkilling because maybe the complaints were that bad? I know our country is known for just like not doing anything, and then when we do something, they do too much. You do way too much. And this is like super vague. It's like 30 pages of things. They have more control. They can shut your stuff down. You're like, man, we were good on here. Like, you were getting your money. Everybody was fine. So I'm definitely going to be preparing myself. But it is something like, it's probably going to steer some people away from like getting to the space. I know people don't like getting involved with heavily regulated industries because it's like losing your business after doing all that work for something where it's like how can you contest these things if they do revoke it? Like, what's the process for getting reinstated? Like, these are all like headaches.
You know what? I see it different. I see it completely different. And it's probably the realtor in me.
Go ahead.
Right? But here's the thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm on Shelley's side here.
Yeah. All right.
I do see your point, Donte, but I am leaning more towards Shellie here.
Oh, hey, this is free country. Free country, guys. And I have been the minority the whole time. So it's not this ain't new spot. Hey, but yeah, no. Hold your position. Yeah. So that's fine. No, I
think if of any industry, it's so easy to pivot in this space. You know, and we are still in a time where we are in a major housing crunch. And I believe that's where a lot of this is coming from. There is just not enough housing. These are the realities. And so you have people who have a space that's empty for some amount of time. And then you have this whole people don't have anywhere to go. So the rental market is up and the sales market is up and blah, blah, blah. So I think this regulation, not just to secure money, because to your point, the state's already getting revenue, at least from Airbnb anyway. But However, I think they're trying to say, hey, let's get in here, get some of this, and the people who say forget it may pivot to long-term rental, which there's a need for. So, or midterm, which again, there's a need for. So I feel like if they revoke, because guess what you don't need a license to do? Rent your space long term. You don't need a license for that.
But you need,
No.
you need it for short.
No, you can rent your house without a license. People have been doing it forever.
Well, yeah, but
Nope, you don't. Now, I would need, if I'm going to be your property manager, I need a license. But if I rent my own house to someone for 6 months or a year lease, I do not need a license to do that.
well,
It is my
that's
house.
what I was gonna ask. Like, if you do it informally, like you're letting your friends stay at your house for a few months or whatever, obviously I would imagine not. But if you're trying to do it formally, like with a lease, which is for all intents and purposes a contract,
Yep.
you don't need a license for that?
No, not as long as it is your property. Not as long as you own it. You do not in the state of Florida. So, yeah. So, that's why I let my real estate license go. Right? I would still, I was a property manager, my own place for years. And I was like, why am I doing this? Because I wasn't doing anything else, with it. So it wasn't so much the license that was an issue that was on like every, few years, but it was the continuing education. Now I got to sit here and oh crap, I got to get this done by this time. Da, da, da. So that was like, and I'm not even in this space anymore. Right. So I was just like, take it. And they were like, you have a year to come back. I was like, okay, maybe I'll take it by then. And then that year came, I was like, oh crap, I ain't doing anything. Forget it. So,
It's a wrap.
So yes, so it is very easy if you own the property to pivot. Where it is not easy is there are some Airbnb hosts who don't own that property. They are renting it and they're hosting it. Right. So for them, yes. And so for them, they would have to look at having a sublease type agreement, which you should have even for that, to be honest. Because otherwise you're illegal on a number of levels. So then you would have to look at that. And again, you're talking long-term, at least 6 months or midterm, what we call midterm or long-term. So if any industry that it's easy to flip the script, this one I think is one of the easiest to do.
All right. Wow.
And there is still demand for long-term housing for sure. And those rates are pretty good right now. Rent is still high.
Rent is still high.
Rent is
Newsflash.
Yeah, it is still ridiculously high. So, I think that
They try and get some more inventory.
This is not the end of the world by any means. And if you're in love with what you're doing short-term rental, then do what you need to do. If you're not, because the taxes and fees on them
Come. Come.
we got to witness. We got to witness that.
Run now.
Sometimes those fees are higher than the actual tax burden. So, that's what's up, you guys. So again, we'll leave some links. If you want to reach out to your people in Congress, your congressmen, House of Representatives, State Senate, let them know where you stand, what fine print you're okay with, what fine print you want them to adjust, if any. Make your voices heard. We
For sure.
accomplish more together.
Yeah, and definitely second that type energy because you have a voice. This is something that's in your community, so don't ever feel like you don't have a right to speak on it. And you never know; it could definitely sway some opinions. You could change some laws. Shellie, appreciate you bringing this topic to the forefront, being ahead. Look at you, love it.
The news.
Shellie with the news. All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace.
watch me do my thing.
No VVS on my neck, probably cost more than my check. No disrespect, I just ain't flexing for them fools on the net. Question the setting, yeah, but you can't mistake the value. City sleeping on me like they hooked on volume. Catch a wave or float away. Sick of sitting sideline, I made a play. Anxious about opinions, they gon' hate me anyways. Either rise to the occasion or you caving like souffle. Attaché, no Hemingway.